Welcome everybody to another Friday of What the Fuck VA podcast. And I'm Albert on it. I'll let my guests introduce themselves here shortly. But as you know, I do self-promote, self-sponsor. So like Tim Pool and many other podcasters out there, I get to say what I want and let my guests say what they want without worrying about repercussions from some sponsor somewhere. So we are here to do good things, and we're doing great things for veterans. And I'll let my guests explain that what they've got going on too. It is a 2-hour long form podcast, so we're going to learn a lot about each other. But I'm excited to have these guys on here. Just for a quick heads up, if you guys don't know about me, you need to. For the past 5 years, I have ran the Fulfilled Veteran Project, and I have helped over 3,000 of my clients, mostly special operators, get their money that they've earned through their service. I was about to say VA disability. That's what VA wants you to believe it is. It isn't. It's your money, and the government has hidden it from you. And over 3,000 people getting $3 million average minimum. It's over $10 billion that I've delivered to my clients. And it would shock you that I talked to 2 Navy SEALs today and all that other kind of stuff. So I work mostly with special operators, and I have done great work through mostly word of mouth. And that's why I'm here to. That's why I've got podcasts. I've got another podcast up that we'll talk about today. I've got a book series coming out. The first one is The First 5 Fucks to Give. So that's what I help veterans with, is getting, it's a bunch of F words. So things like faith, family, finances. A big key one is fast. So another one is fall. Don't fall into the shit that I'm sure Christine and Sean have fell into or tried to. They're trying to help other people not fall either. And that's why I'm doing the podcast. I want to make sure that my pain is only mine. I want to make sure that you don't have the same pain that I did, and that you don't leave money on the table. Because I know a lot of us quiet professionals, we get out and we fall into silence, and we know that we can reach out to a buddy, but we don't. And unfortunately, years go by, and then you look back going, shit, I wish I would have done the right thing for my finances so that I could get myself moving forward the right way. So if you don't know who I am, look me up, thefulfilledveteranproject.com. The links will be in the description below. And if you'd like to be a guest on my other podcast, I'd love to have you. I know I'm going to invite these 2 on my podcast as well. But and if you want to know more about $5 and the first $5 to give, it's on my website, thefulfilledveteranproject.com. I see Christine laughing already. Right? Isn't it a great title?
It's a beautiful title.
Right? Yeah, it's a real attention getter. I like to get to the point real fast. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Christine and Sean here. So Christine, go ahead, fire away. 1 or 2 minutes what you did in the service, what you're doing now, so everybody can get.
Oh my God, what 2 minutes? Okay, so in a nutshell, I spent probably 80% of my life in uniform, joining halfway through college because I needed the school money. My father recruited me. So that meant I was enlisted officer. I've done National Guard, active duty, reserve, AGR. Basically 32 and a half years in uniform. I actually retired almost 4 years ago, but it doesn't feel like 4 years ago. It still feels like yesterday. Still working through some things because, as we all know, transition, they never truly guide us and help us with transitional stuff. And that's kind of where I'm focused on right now with others. So yeah, that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. I mean, like I said, we don't have 5 hours, or we could really go in depth on some of this stuff, but yeah, that's Christine. There you go.
We're off to a good start. Sean, fire away.
Yeah. I was in the Army for 5 years, from 2015 to 2020. I did 1 deployment in 2018 to Afghanistan. Was going to make it a career. Decided not to, and we can get into those reasons later. Got out, and now I'm an E&I, but I'm still 100% disabled. But my big thing, I've been helping a lot of people with, I know some people that don't understand there's a difference between combined 100% and 100%, and some guys aren't working still, and I'm like, bud, you can still work. You don't have to worry. There's a huge difference. So I've been helping a lot of people. I did my VA thing all myself. I didn't have no VSO, nothing, nobody. So I've been trying to teach people how to make it simpler for them to understand.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to join forces on that, because it's a lot of my prior clients will come back to me, like a colonel just came back to me, 06 colonel came back to me, and He emailed me this week, as a matter of fact, fun coincidence, but he was saying the same thing. He's like, hey man, I want to help, but I want to make sure I'm helping correctly, because you're right that no kidding, I'll bring this up. So thank you, Sean, for bringing that up, because I was just in Florida. I'm in Indiana right now, but I was in Florida a couple weeks ago, and I run into an older Ranger. I'm 43, so an older Ranger, and I gave him my card, and my card says that I help you guys get your money and that kind of thing. So he walks over and starts talking to me, and he says, hey, I actually help people too. And I was like, okay, great. Well, tell me about your process. And I am a business. I'm a for-profit. I have an EIN, for those who won't know what that is, LLC, all that stuff, all the words that go with taxes and all that kind of shit to be a business owner. I've got staff, and I've got a process, and I've got plenty of outcomes to share with you guys. But I was asking him the same thing, and he was like, well, I'm older and my back was so fucked up that I had to go on unemployable. And he said, well, that's what I tell my buddies to do, is go unemployable. And I was like, can I tell you something? You're giving your guys bad fucking information. So I said, hey, buddy, I know you're trying to help your buddies out, but you're actually giving them horrible, horrible advice.
Yep.
And I said, you wouldn't tell them to jump out without a fucking jump out of an airplane without a parachute on, would you? And he said no. And I was like, but you're doing that right now. If you're telling somebody to go on unemployable, because I'll say this, I've taken people off of unemployable because they do qualify for 100% without unemployable. And so just want to let you know, yes, you can work. Yes, you can make money. One of my deliverables is freedom. So we will always talk about your freedom. So yeah, I'll help you out with a lot of F's in there, right? Fun. So you can see how I came up with the book title. But well, that's cool. So we definitely need to talk more about that. So Sean, do you do that as a for-profit, just kind of a buddy system?
Yeah, and just sort of a buddy system. I mean, I don't really have anything established. I just kind of, anybody that honestly asks for it, I'll help them, just because.
I'd much rather guide you through that on how to do that the correct way, because I'm not sure what you did there. You got fireworks going off.
I don't know either. I didn't.
Divine intervention there, folks. So just want to let you know that Sean has now been divinely invited to stage with me, for people who know what that means, so I can help guide you. And I mean, there's only one Albert out there. I'm the best in the world. I've delivered over $10 billion in less than 5 years to my clients, and all the way up to SEAL Team 6 is my clients, Delta Dudes are my clients, Air Force One, Marine One, MARSOC, fighter pilots, Navy, the Blue Angels. There I go on. So how do you work with those people? You get them trust and performance, right? So I say I'm going to do something, I fucking do it. And I have delivered. So I'd much rather, but I'm only one guy. I was a MEDEVAC pilot. I didn't really introduce myself. I was infantry in the Army first, enlisted, very similar to Christine. And then I got out for a little bit and joined back up after ROTC, got my commission and was selected to fly MEDEVAC. So that's where a lot of my visuals come from. There's me flying, and there's you guys down there with the red smoke going, help me, help me. So that's what I'm here to do, is help you. And but yeah, so then I got out after about 10 years total of service, and a 90% rating right off the bat. And that was because a retired infantry guy helped me at least a little bit with the buddy system. He didn't know everything, but at least got me further on the pace chart, if I can call it that. I thought I was going to get somewhere between 30 and 70%. I got 90. I left that on the table for 5 years until I got in my mid to late 30s. And my body started talking to me. And I was like, I need to go back to the hospital and find out what the VA wants to do next. I go to the VA and I said, hey doc, I want to file a claim. That's why I'm here today. And the doctor just looks at me, scooches his chair up, and he's like, what? You're in the wrong room, buddy. I do doctor stuff. I'm not here for your claims. You won't talk to the claim people. You make an appointment with like DAV, American Legion, that kind of stuff. So here it is. I'm in the VA hospital. My doctor's chair leaks forwards, and he goes, saying, man, this is at the clinic for or GY or people like me. Isn't that insane? My doctor is telling me to go talk to a nonprofit about my fucking claim process. So that's why this is called What the Fuck VA.
Yeah. Not all individuals who are part of that nonprofit stuff are knowledgeable either. I have seen them misguide so many veterans or not give a fuck when they call and say, hey, what's the status of, an appeal and everything else? And they're just like, yeah, it's crazy. Some care, but 90% of them, I swear, just do it just because it's a paycheck and nothing else. They
You're
say
honestly right.
nonprofit, but they get
It is a
paid to a point.
Like, that's what I love about the free market. If people don't like me, they don't pay me. Or my clients, they can kill me. They all know where I live, and I go to their conventions. So if they wanted to, they twist my head off. I when I go to places, they're like when I go to their conventions, they jump up. Oh my God, Albert, you life changing motherfucker! Come here. So a woman asked me today. Both she and her husband have been my clients. This is a multiple phases, right? So they have to go through this I call it baseball terminology. Like, you got to get on base before you swing for the fences for the grand slam. So this woman says, how, Albert, I know we've worked with you, my husband and I, for the past couple of years. How convinced are you that you can help me do what you're telling me you're going to do? And I'm like, well, I'm $10 billion convinced, and I'm SEAL Team 6 convinced that you don't get those clients without it. And I have continued to prove that. And going back to Sean's point a couple of minutes ago, that a colonel of mine that I helped him get to 100%, and he said, Albert, I let it sink in. I've been 100% for a while now, and I want to come intern with you or whatever, because I want to help veterans. And I had to let it stew for a little bit of, how do I help? Do I try to do the buddy system, do it on my own, or do I get under Albert and have him teach me the best way? And I need more people. I need more of the right people to do the, let's call it sales stuff. I need you guys to be able to talk to one another and that kind of thing. So I'm always growing my team. I'm always open to that. We'll talk more about that as we keep going. But Christine's right that there are great people in horrible systems, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, can I paint any? I'm not here to unfuck any system.
No.
I'm here to bitch and moan about them. They're good people, but those good people, they get worn out. That's why they get worn out, and then they come to me. They go, Albert, I was with the DAV, American Legion. I've got no kidding, a PA, a physician's assistant who works for a third party of the VA. So it's like LHI, VES, knowledgeable enough. He's one of the PAs with one of those entities, and he's my client. Doesn't that sound weird? It sounds weird to me to say that, but that's how fucked up the government is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, when I went for my initial one, so after you file your claim, they send all the appointments up for you, just verify things. So I went and I was like 70 tops. That was in my head. That's all I was getting. Well, the PA that I had worked for the VA. But this guy, he straight up told me, he's like, I'm tired of soldiers getting fucked from the VA. I'm going to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
And he worded everything he needed to. It came back, they gave me 90.
Nice.
I wasn't content with that. So within that first year, I said no. And I filed an appeal. And then after a year of fighting them, they're like, okay, here it is. Here's 100. But I will say the hardest thing that I've noticed that a lot of people like to do is skip appointments. And if you skip one or have to reschedule those appointments, you are going to be waiting for months to get back in. You better just work around your life and get in there and get it done. Because I think I had like a year and a half of appointments before they finally made my claim.
Jeez. Crazy? And they'll take you through that crap. Everybody will take you through that crap, and I call it the rotisserie of fuckery. But they will continue to move the goalpost and see if you're willing to grind it out. But when you do grind it out, like probably what Sean realized was it once he did, because when you go from 90% to 100, basic family of four, it's about $1,500 a month raise. You probably got a sweet piece of fucking money right there, man.
Yeah. Especially after that inflation bump.
Yeah, how much hit your bank account?
So when my initial appeal, because when you get out, they, regardless of when you file, they back pay to your discharge date if you file within your first year.
Yep.
And that was, they owed me $32,000 then. Then once I filed for the year, where they appeal for 100, they back paid me another $48,000. So in total, they back paid me $80,000.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, so, untaxable too. So
So just for easy round numbers for everybody, that when you're 100% like me and Sean are, a non-retiree should get paid $5,000 a month. A retiree should be about $7,500, and that's just what the VA would call disability pay. So that's VA money. I call it veteran money because you earned it.
Yep.
Now that's just the Sean and I have thus far talked about 100%. 100% is great because that's the gate. Now, once you're 100% like Sean and I, the gate opens up to a ton more money. And that's what I help out with even further. So it could be Voc Rehab. It could be like I'm helping a MARSOC guy get Voc Rehab paid for his PhD. And I've got lawyers out there who are my clients, judges, airline pilots, all that kind of stuff. And they always want to know what other money's out there for them. So like property taxes. I haven't asked Sean this yet. What state are you in?
I am in Kentucky.
Okay. So most states, big ones, Texas, California, Florida, even Nebraska, have a removal of property taxes. And they're spending about $1,000 a month on average in property taxes.
Yep.
And when you're 100% like I am, you pay goose egg, nothing, property taxes. And that's
it also opens up so much more for your family as well. Like 100%, your kids go to school for free, college.
Chapter 35.
And now,
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah,
there's chapter 35 and there's something else too in there, but state level and federal level. So,
and I will say too, a lot of people don't. Before you get into all these benefits, you got to understand that some of these you have to be P&T for, and some, because if you are just 100%, some of them you don't, like my family's now covered totally under Champ VA, but you have to be 100% P&T to get that. If you're not permanent in total, and a lot of people get that confused, right? Well, I'm 100%. It's like, are you P&T or are you just 100%?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, use a golf analogy. That's what I do. I say, because they'll ask me that. What's the difference? Okay, so a golf analogy is when you go from, let's say, 90 to 100, you're on the green now. You're not in the hole yet. So 100% is definitely better. It's about $1,500 more a month, but it isn't everything. So once you get into the hole, like Sean and I are at 100% permanent in total, everything opens up. That's where some states, like I'll say Georgia, they're stingy until you're 100% permanent in total. But when you are permanent in total, then the floodgates open up. So like Christine was mentioning, there's state level money for your kids in college. So I've got 5 kids. I live in Indiana. My oldest is going into college. So I will not pay for tuition and fees for in-state tuition for all 5 kids. Now that's state level. Federal level is called Chapter 35. And it sounds very similar to GI Bill structure because the government doesn't like reinventing wheels. So Chapter 35 is when my kid is in college or kids are in college, I'll receive about a $1,400 a month today stipend per month per kid as long as they're going full time. So I will get paid for my 5 kids to go to college. In today's market, that in and of itself is life-changing. I'm not sure if Sean or Christina have had experience with this, but I had, when you get to 100% like us, you get your student loans removed. So I've got 2 master's degrees and nobody gives a shit about that. But
damn, I didn't know that.
Almost $200,000 worth wiped off my record. So
I paid that shit back. I was dumb.
Yep. So
I was dumb right there. I should have let that go. I didn't know that.
Christine, you probably have experience with this. How many people in your units from going from guard, reserve, AGR, all that kind of stuff? How many times did you see that double tap, financial double tap, come back and bite somebody in the ass? So, for example,
it's easy to happen. So
even though you're communicating, I was never reserve or guard, but I did have a break in service. So I got out and I got paid 10% for years. And then I went back in and I was getting paid $100 a month for a long time. But I remember being in flight school, and I'll tell the story here in a little bit. But I remember being in flight school telling the VA where I was in space and time. But then somehow years later, I get a bill for $8,000.
Yeah, because you were double tapped.
Saying that, Albert, we overpaid you, so therefore we're going to take this out of your ass. We overpaid you for years, but we're going to take it out of your ass in 1 year.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, because a lot of times, because I remember seeing soldiers that were drawn even just a tiny bit of disability from the VA and still drilling. And there's a happy balance there too with the dollars and how that works. I don't know the math on that one. But if you wind up being deployed out again, you're supposed to have the VA stop altogether because you're now getting paid the equivalent of like full-time active duty or something like that. So yeah, I can't tell you how many times I saw soldiers get caught up in that, but hell, I got caught up in the fact that I come back from a deployment and they're supposed to stop taking, paying me extra,
Mhm.
and I'm fighting with them for 3 months, and they finally get that fixed. And then, hey, you owe us all this money. Like,
Yep.
there you go. Because you just got to learn to set that aside too. But
So,
yeah,
and here's something crazy, folks. This is something else that I help my clients out with, and it's not even really an official process. So let me give you some backstory. Because also, who else is going to take care of this? Who is going to take care of widows? How many widows are out there, or spouses who've lost their person, and they don't know who to go to? Who's the specialist at helping them? Nobody I know other than me helping them. And I don't charge widows because that's not fair. But that's why I charge other people. So I don't have to charge widows. And I've been able to deliver. Doesn't sound right. Let me talk to you about widow stuff real quick. I've got a woman who her husband was an Army captain, and he died very early. He had just gotten pinned captain or hadn't been captain for very long and died early in their relationship. So he had passed maybe 15 years ago or something like this. And through my process, I was able to, in 6 months, be able to help deliver at least the first door of dollars to her. First door of dollars being three things. And that was about $20,000 worth of back pay, then $1,500 a month stipend from here on out. And like Sean said, insurance for her. And they didn't have any kids together. So insurance for her for life. Let me go back to those are the only three. Door number one. Did that sound like it made her whole? 20 grand for a dead husband?
no.
$1,500 a month stipend? Not really. So that's what I told her too. I said, hey, I'm glad that you're, because she's like, oh gosh, that's a blessing. And that's what most people say. Oh, it's such a blessing. I thought I was going to get 70% and I got 90. It's a false prophet. It's not a blessing. It's the government is still hiding more money from you. That's only door number one. So that's why I always brief my clients. And every time I brief my clients, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you some good news and bad news. Good news is you've received some of your money. Bad news is you're not receiving all your money. Even further good news is I will help you with this other money. So, so widows is one of them. Another one is what we're talking about thus far. Of if you were double dipped at any point in time, and you did the right thing by communicating to the government that they weren't supposed to pay you, doesn't it make sense that again, I call it the rotisserie of fuckery. The VA and government's always fucking with veterans, always, and most of it's their money, which is their livelihood. So the government pays you like they did me for years at $100 a month to add up to over $8 grand, and then years later you'll get a message, a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, we're going to take this $8 grand out of your ass over the next 12 months." All I did was write not a strongly worded letter, but a clear letter. I remember vividly back in the flip phone days where I joined, I was just graduated and I was in flight school. I was on some kind of a hold waiting on my class to pick up. And I remember exactly where I was. And I called you guys letting you know that I was being overpaid. And crazy thing is, I got a letter back saying, okay, we'll take that off. You now owe us nothing. $8,000 to me at that time was a ton. $8,000 to Uncle Sam, it ain't shit. So
Nothing.
I go to my grizzly bear or a bear situation, let's say a black bear. Because if you see a black bear in the woods, maybe Christine knows this. What do you do with the black bear? You get big, right? Get big, get loud. Because black bears, they don't want to fight. They're just they're big teddy bears. And they're not going to eat you, Sean. If you get big, they're not going to eat you. They're like,
Yes.
I'm going to go.
They tend to run.
Yeah, I'm going to go find an easier morsel. Go find a squirrel somewhere. So my point telling you that story is because I can help anybody articulate this letter to the government. Say, hey, you know what? I told you years ago that I was getting double tapped, and you need to remove this from my record. It's amazing how quickly those letters come back to you because the government, they only want to go after soft targets, people who will sulk in silence and have pity parties behind the scenes. I get on to anybody if I hear them complaining. I've got, again, 5 kids. So if I hear complaining and whining, I'm like, hey man, what are you doing about it? I do something every day. I get up, I put my armor on, and I talk to people and have hard conversations that have amazing value. I had one short conversation, and by the end of it, a guy goes, "Hey man, I used some of your stuff a couple weeks ago, and I've received $13,000 in my bank account." Isn't that amazing? Like knowing that I or any of us are delivering that level of deliverable, life-changing deliverable is awesome. And that's why I host podcasts now. Is I want to, and I hire people above me. I've talked to Christine about this a little bit behind the scenes, but I hire people above me who know about technology in ways that I don't. And I've got a producer out of Nashville that I pay big bucks to. I've got my book publisher that I pay big bucks to, and I've got a YouTube guy, the best YouTube guy out there in the world is my guy. I'm his client. And because I got to know how to get my pain out there so I can help other people through or avoid their pain. And that's why I host podcasts, because we are silent professionals. I don't want you sulking in silence. I don't want you falling into the trap of woe is me and all that kind of shit. So anyway, just want to lay that out there.
And I think a lot of yours comes from, you got to look at, there's a generation that does not trust the VA anymore at all because they've been screwed so hard by them.
Yep.
I mean, they've gotten better with my younger generation. They've gotten better, but they're still, if you ever notice, a lot of people are scared.
Different. I'll say it that way. They got different. Go ahead, Sean.
Yes. Because they put these big words and people are so scared of these big words and what they mean and stuff. And I'm like, it's not that hard. Like, it's very simple what they're asking you to do. They're just trying to make it more confusing for you. So you either one, don't try, or two, don't get what you deserve because you're not attempting to. And your whole fuckery thing is, I mean, it's just crazy the amount of people, like you said, that just, they get screwed from the VA because they go after the soft targets and the people that are too scared to actually step up to them and say, hey, no, that's wrong. And I know a lot of people, if the VA puts out a new, we'll just call it a memorandum or whatever, to adjust something, if you already have that disability, they are not going to lower your rate. Like sleep apnea for one, I got 50%, but they're talking about lowering that to like 10 to 30. If you've already had it, everybody's like, my friends will message me, well, what about, I was like, you already been established.
It's the
You're fine.
same with tinnitus and a couple other things that are on the proposed, adjustment scale, but that they've already said, if you were already given this, we're not touching your stuff. It's all the guys behind you. They're going to get semi-hosed.
Yes.
So, but yeah, speaking of the VA stuff, there's a lot of individuals inside the organization that strongly feel like we don't deserve these things, period. They feel like it's their money. And these are contractors and civilians who didn't even friggin' breathe in the uniform that are now judging us. And that's not fair either. So, and I wish I'd known just the depth of what we were doing. I would have had my significant other Keith on here because he actually helps veterans like you do, Albert, with their appeals process. He's actually certified through the VA. So he had to take some big tests and everything. He's on their website. So he's always offering advice and whatnot and helping guide them that way. And his sole purpose in life, and you'd love this, is he's just trying to make the VA do their fucking job. That's his motto. He's like, they're always screwing with people. You'll get lucky once in a while and find somebody who will bend over backwards to help a veteran. And I can share that experience in a little while when I was helping my stepmom when my dad passed away to get her DIC, which I think is what you were referencing earlier. So, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he could tell you all kinds of stories of people he's helped and things like that and his experience with the VA. And I just sit back and just kind of take it in. So, but yeah, the VA needs to do their job. And so many of them aren't, unfortunately. And that's where the trust factor comes in. If you can't even take care of me, like you're owed, I mean, even if we get a percentage, like you guys have 100, I have 60. I'm not complaining. And like you said, Albert, I'm very content with that. And I could have had Keith help me to get it higher, but I was like, nope, I don't want to rock the boat because I wasn't 55 years old yet because I was very concerned about that rule. Which a lot of the younger guys have to deal with too.
And I'll tell you, being younger, that rule, being permanent and total now, everybody asks me, well, when's your next 6 month checkup? I was like, I'm permanent and total. The VA does not call me to have appointments anymore. Yeah. I'm fine. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they're like, well, no, you still have to go. I was like, no, when they tell you that you're permanent total, they're saying you will never get better from these injuries.
How old are you,
we don't need to see. I'm 27.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm 43. So yeah, I
God, you
was
guys are
elevated.
babies.
I was elevated to permanent total in like 5 years ago.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I got
and
And
mine.
I've got a son-in-law who did his stint with the Navy, a sonarman. He just got permanently medically retired, is drawing his VA disability, just got diagnosed with sleep apnea. So, working with him to get his percentage increased from 70, but and he's maybe your age, Sean, if that. I
I got
mean,
sleep apnea.
yeah,
I got
and it's just these younger guys coming out, and they don't teach us shit when we get out. Number one, they give
Nope.
you this big book. Here's the VA stuff. Go file. What the fuck does that mean? I
Yep.
mean,
so
they
say
don't teach us anything getting out.
my first two rules with that: if
Yes.
the government wanted to pay you, they would, right? Why do you? If the government can print money, why the fuck do you pay taxes?
Yeah, I agree.
If the government wanted to pay you, they would. They don't want to.
No, they don't.
And so
They'd
let's just start with that.
rather wait for us to wither away and die and stuff like that. And a great example is Keith helping a veteran. I can't remember. I think he's a Vietnam veteran, but so sick with preconditions because of Agent Orange. And the VA was like dragging their feet because like, oh, if we wait long enough, this is their thought process to me. If we wait long enough, he'll die and we don't have to do anything.
Yep.
And they do that, but he got the wife through the process. She got the big check of money. He's now in hospice. She's set for life.
Yeah.
But it's just so sad. I mean, and you're right. The trust comes from a lot of the Vietnam era guys or later for those that are still around because the way they were treated when they came back.
Yep.
I could not for the life of me even get my dad to go back to the VA and just work on his PTSD from the stuff he went through. When I finally took all the paperwork in for my stepmom to file for her DIC, his 214 from the Vietnam era wasn't even in their system. All that was in there was the tiny hunk of time he did as an AGR recruiter, and that was it. And like I said, I was blessed because the lady I sat in front of, she's like, he's one of our Vietnam vets. She's like, oh, we're gonna fix this. And she took the case on herself, uploaded everything, expedited everything in the system. So he had that status. The death certificate was labeled properly because he, died from a condition from Vietnam or the Agent Orange stuff. And, 6-7 months later, she started getting her money. But it was just like, I couldn't even get him to go in that way. I couldn't get him to go in and talk to even the TRICARE side of the house because he had, TRICARE for life. He didn't want to talk to anybody. This stuff was so bad.
And the death benefit should be about $2,500 a month if it's just want to.
But it's just
everybody out there know.
It's just how do you convince those guys? How do you convince the younger guys that don't want help? I mean, think about it. We're taught to be very self-sufficient in uniform.
Mhm.
We're taught how to find the answers, and we're taught how to suck it up and deal with it.
Yep.
But as we're discovering, we can't function like that out here in society because it's just, it's a different playground. It's different rules. It's not fair that we're not taught right when we get out of the military on how to file. I mean, I think they're getting a little better because even I went through the process of where I sat down with somebody, they pulled all my, gripe list stuff. I went through the system. They had my appointments lined up for me before I even left active duty. I mean, so I was on that cusp of the new program they're doing. I thought it was great. Some guys are still not even getting that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But where you're at with that, what I love is what they're doing is the benefits before
Yes.
Discharge.
Yes.
And I've known a lot of people that have
time.
done that. But what the problem is, they get 50 or 60%. They're like, oh, that's great. What
Yeah.
they don't realize is you probably just got screwed in a nice way.
Yeah.
I mean, to keep it simple, they fucked you there because you could probably get more. They just did it in 3 months instead of, I mean, I was glad to fight them for 2-3 years. I didn't care because I knew I would get the back pay. A lot of people don't understand I was like, yeah, I'm going to fight you, but I'm still going to be paid my 90% while I'm still fighting you for this 100.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And my thing is like, I have sleep apnea, so I can't stand my CPAP. I looked at the Inspire thing because now the VA will cover that. And a lot of people are like, well, that's sort of, I was like, the VA does not care how you take care of your problems. They just want to know if they cause them. They don't care how you treat your issues. They
No,
just want to
but
know
you've got
what
to
you
make
did.
sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes,
Or the
agreed.
VA will say you're not in compliance, and then they come
Exactly.
back and take your shit away.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't understand that.
And I know, like, I know my CPAP, they've never checked it. They don't care about it anymore because TRICARE paid for it.
Yeah, and Keith is the same way. I can't tell you how long he's had his CPAP, and it's hit or miss if he uses it or not. So,
Yeah.
but
I can't do it.
because you're right, a lot of people can't stand it. It doesn't matter what configuration they try with it. So, okay.
So before we talk about more of that, so Christine says she does a lot with veterans. What else you got? What else you doing?
Really, I kind of like to connect with them. So what started 4 years ago was an actual random interview with Doug Terrell, who's the author, playwright, actual one-man show for the American Soldier. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, where he represents, various stages of wars, periods, and individuals in that. So he interviewed me and a couple others because he was building a female character. So I'm now forever, dictated that way, or part of a character that way. But that opened my eyes to just how important it is for our stories.
Yeah.
So many of us get out, women particularly. This is what I'm going with this one. We get out, we don't even want to tell our new neighbors that we retired military. We don't tell anybody the shit we've done, what we've been through, how long we were in, unless we truly know, that you're a veteran. Then we can let you know we did it, kind of thing. But we don't toot our horns. And I'm trying to get women to understand the power of their story and the fact that what they did, they need to be very proud of, because so many are tired. And me too, at the point I was tired. I'm tired of proving myself. I don't want to have to get out. I don't want to have to job and work for anybody, because I don't have to prove myself again and fight tooth and nail for the rank advancements, for the special jobs or anything like that. So that's what kind of started me on my path. And a lot of it was my own personal journey, because when I enlisted at 20 years old, I didn't even know who I was at 20 years old. And now I'm somebody else because of what the military told me I'm supposed to do, as far as thinking, dressing, acting, eating, sleeping, for 32 years. So when I get out, Christine doesn't even know who she was at 52. Okay. So that's where my personal journey started, with a lot of books about a year before that. I chose to read the books because inside of me, I was trying to figure out who I was. So important with several veterans I've run across. They're like, I just don't know who I am truly, or what my purpose is now, because we all had a purpose in uniform. We get out, we're trying to figure out how to adjust and fit into a world that's different than what we probably spent most of our lives in, like I did. And it's that quest kind of thing. And I read a lot. I'm like, no, that's not scratching the itch. I'll read something else, and something might click a little bit and might push me a little further down the road to figuring out. And then, finding the tools that have actually helped me really kind of understand me. We all know about paradigms, which are those limiting beliefs that hold us back, so how do we truly identify those? How do we work through those? So that's got me on another quest for almost a year now of studying the human design and the gene key, but it works and it makes sense. So that's kind of where I am. I'm working on putting stuff together. But I've also had a coach. I'm sure, Albert, you've had some sort of business coach and stuff with everything you've been doing. Mine was like a personal development coach, just to show me and get me started on how to use Facebook and Instagram, because we're taught not how to do that stuff. I mean, OPSEC was a crazy thing. Now I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with sharing me and being honest and open and vulnerable, because I think that's what other women need to see. So, yeah.
The fact that you said OPSEC just brings something up hilarious.
Go ahead.
So we were coming home from Afghanistan, stuck in Kuwait, right? And they told us, hey, you guys are going home on this next flight. So we get through security and all this, right? And they tell their families ahead of time, hey, they're coming home. This is when they'll be home. This guy decides to post it on the Facebook in this group. So our flight gets canceled because of OPSEC, right? Well, to find out, it's my LT's dad. And then he gets on Facebook and says, hey, guys, we got to be careful of OPSEC. I was like, you motherfucker, you're the one that's like, God. And he's trying to give everybody these problems. It took us 3 weeks to get out of Kuwait after that.
Yeah, I believe it. I totally believe it.
I was so
crazy
mad.
stuff. But So I guess what I'm going with this is I'm really passionate about working with the female veteran because of the struggles they have, and just kind of working with them, coaching, guiding them, showing them some tools that have worked for me because it may resonate with them and help them on their journey. But yeah, I mean, while we are a tiny percentage of the population out there, we are growing significantly year after year, veteran number wise. Yeah, I mean, that's my
We
passion.
love my next part of that too. That again, this is why I have a podcast, is to get this out there that we are doing good things. And although I've got clients that are around the world, I've got little pockets of people. So I've got all the Apache guys in Qatar; those are mine. All the drug interdiction, air crews, and ground crews doing in Central America; those are mine. It's weird, but I got little bitty pockets of styles of people. So Indian people over here, and these kind of women over here. And so the best and deadliest women on earth are my clients too. So I've got all kinds of female clients. I'm just immediately thinking of, I've talked to 2 or 3 of them today. And I've got ladies who were pilots, and oh my gosh, one woman was so nice, mother of 8. But then once I started telling her about what she qualified for, and she was a medevac pilot like me, so she was super nice. She started saying fuck so many times. She just put a fuck sandwich together that made perfect sense. She's like, this is fucking fuck Albert. Now I appreciate you, but fucking goddamn it, government motherfucking piece of shit. Taking from my kids is my fucking money. And by the way, she's a multimillionaire. She owns a company now too. So doing acquisitions with the government.
She's a serious badass. My hat's off to her.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my point. It's like,
and we're out there, but we don't tell people what we did.
Yeah. And like you guys said, OPSEC, and this is the second time I said that today. And I was briefing one of my other one of the people I pay above me. I was telling him that. I said, man, that we were, just like you said, we're trained to be so hush hush in OPSEC. Then you get out in the civilian world and you're like, oh my God, there's so much crap out here. And I'm telling you guys, it happens even faster. So again, going back to the 90s or 80s or early 2000s, when everything was still fax machines and snail mail, flip phones, right? Blackberries, all that kind of crap.
Cans and strings.
Now everything is automated. Okay,
Yeah.
if I bought this cup from Amazon, which I did, I'm going to get another email. Like if I walk into the other room, Alexa is going to start talking to me going, hey, by your orders, you're now due for another black cup. Yeah. Right? Like everything is automated. You wake up every morning and look at your email and there's automations on your phone. My phone just beeped. It's probably some automation from something going, hey, buy more soap. Because that's what we do. That's what we buy shit online. So anyway, the world is more automated these days, more than ever before. And that's why I was talking about the Sean Ryan show that you guys probably know what that is, or other shows that are out there, maybe Tim Pool or other people out there. And those are the people who breached the door before me. It made me feel more comfortable about coming out as a veteran. Like, hey, here's the shit I'm helping you guys through.
It's almost like a second calling. So my first calling was the uniform. You know, when I got in there, I had no indication of what I was getting into. I fell in love with it. And that's why it became, a lifelong journey. We get out, so many of us, regardless of gender, just want to be quiet about it and just go about life. And then there's those of us who are like, hell no, there's so much more out there. We need to lead the way because this is not right, or, we need to show them. It's just like being in uniform. We always had to be leaders. Now we have to be leaders outside of uniform. I know some crazy women, crazy badass women that are, big into mental health with their podcast shows and writing articles and things. There's an amazing woman out of Florida who's very big into veteran homelessness for women, because it's harder to track women, especially if they got kids, because they couch surf. It's not like they show up to a shelter, So it's more people are coming out and really starting to let the world know is, hey, there's something going on here and it's not right.
So if I can say it from a negative to a positive, imagine, so we know the big 3 of like Black Rifle Coffee Company, Grunt Style, Non-Line Apparel. We know those. Why don't we know other empires? that's why I'm doing what I'm doing with the books and the podcast, so that I can get my voice out there, and I can help you guys get your voice out there faster too. So I host. If there's 2 layers to my company, one of them is the veteran money stuff, so a lot of paperwork to get your money. The other layer is, I call it the veteran empire. How I can help get your empire going and growing. I'm just talking to Christine here, but there's a guy that is a client of mine already, and he's on my calendar. He was on my calendar. He was on my podcast last week. He's on my calendar for next week as well, and he has an amazing idea for women. And if you knew about it, I'll let him tell you, but you'd be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I'm glad that a veteran thought of it, because us veterans, we are the apex of, like you were talking about, service. So like our service in Christ is us helping others.
Yep.
And we're pushing that forwards. We know that we're biblically good people. We're told that we're supervillains when we're actually superheroes. We're the top of people who are doing great things, and we need to know about each other. So you get to a point in your business where you get it going, get it growing, then get to where I am now, where I want to partner with a lot of other people and have my stuff on you guys' websites, your stuff on my websites, stuff like that, so that we can go, hey, this is a vetted veteran community of badasses out there who are doing great shit with, could be beard oils or baseball caps or whatever. Because there should be, my goal is in less than 10 years, why not? Why shouldn't we have so many more veteran-owned empires out there that you know about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I've got a guy who I interviewed for a book, another book of mine, and he wants to be the Steven Spielberg for veterans. How many people say that? We know what it means automatically. Oh, the guy's in film business, and he doesn't want to do short films. He wants to be the Steven Spielberg for veterans, and he's out of the East Coast. So I could say, Christine, go chat with him. I think he's in one of the Carolinas. No, I don't say nobody says shit like that, but nobody knows anybody like that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, that's like a lot of people. Like, George Strait does a lot for veterans too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to one of his concerts and they bought a house for one when he was, and they completely pay for it.
Yeah.
The foundation he works for, which I'll say, I'm not a big Wounded Warrior fan. I am not.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I am not at all.
I am not either, because the money people give, such a tiny minuscule percentage actually goes anywhere to do anything good. That's the sad part about it. It probably started off as the right thing, but I don't think it's as good anymore as it used to be.
And the fact is, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and there was a club there that was called, I forget, they were the Wounded something. And they actually took care of veterans and did help them with their claims and everything, nonprofit. The Wounded Warriors Project spent so much money suing them because their name was so close. It was like in the hundreds of millions. I was like, you just wasted all that money suing and they had to shut down because they didn't have the money to survive after all that legal stuff. And I was like, that.
You should be linking arms, partnering. That's what I'm saying. Like,
exactly.
There's biblically good people, and then there's biblically evil people. So let's just categorize them and know that there's good and evil. Yes, that exists. So that's why I work with only good people, because I've dealt with. If I want drama, I'll shake my fucking ex-wife's cage. Like, I don't need. You know what I mean?
That far. Don't do it, man. No. No, I get it. I have no room for drama. I have no room for drama of any size, shape, or form. So.
And people will always try to naysay on you. And I love that Joe Rogan says this. He says, hey, if he has a thought or a post that he puts out there, he says he just fires and forgets it, which you should do. Just keep moving forwards. There's so many people who are going to try to drag you down. And that's what I'm realizing, is that people like us, people on the call right now, and probably some of you folks who are listening to this, you probably thought your whole life you were some kind of a black sheep, when in actuality you're a black wolf, which is even better. That you can survive more shit, and you know that because you have done it, and you want you want to help more. That's why the only heartburn I have is when I wake up and I go, man, I want to help more veterans. Only 100 people get on my calendar a month. Do I want that to be 200? I would love for it. I mean, how many veterans are out there? The Army alone kicked out 200,000 people for not getting shot.
Not getting shot. Yep.
200,000, and
insane.
There are so many people who may have gotten sick or injured, or even worse than that, molested and kicked out. They did not have an appropriate exodus.
Yep.
And that's why one of the big F's is fast. Let me help you fast with this. So,
And I think going off of what you said too is your rank, regardless of what service you're in, plays a whole role. Because if you go through, like, let's just say, like you said, someone was sexually assaulted or something, and you're a colonel or something, the worst they're going to do to you is tell you to force retire. If you are a specialist or something, you're probably looking at Fort Leavenworth or all that. Like, it's crazy to me how you could be a colonel or something like,
That's if they even push it or do anything
Yes,
with it. And that's
I
the
agree.
downside.
That's a
I
problem.
was in since 88 and I saw the same shit over and over again with new titles on how to fix it, and nothing ever happened.
No.
So
Nope.
I have
Never.
no
know, and every era is different.
And
Every
I have
era
a
is
little
different.
daughter. So, all right. So I have 3 adult daughters, and my middle one is working on doing direct commission in the Army. And everything in me is like, just don't do it, because the environment is so different, even from when I got out 3-4 years ago. But I can't do that as a mom because she is an adult. She can make her own decision. So all I can do is just kind of say, hey, just this is what you're getting into, you know? And she's like, okay, I got it. And I know she can handle herself, but it still concerns me, you know? It really does. So, and that's why it's harder and harder for this to be a family business. Because if I remember right, a week or 2 back, I saw something where even less veterans and current serving members are encouraging or recommending their kids to go in.
Yeah.
So even that's starting to swing on the downside. So,
And I
because we
mean,
all know it was a family business there for so long, because, you know, my grandfather was in, my dad was in, I'm in, now I've got another child going in, you know, but where's it stop? And when are they truly going to fix some of this stuff going on inside? So,
like Dan Bongino talks about all the time, is his line from somebody else is be the change. So that's why you have to have a podcast. You have to run for whatever, dog catcher or something. Start local and just be at your own kitchen table. But you have to guide. That's the hardest thing too. That's why one of the F's in there is family. And you have to be around your own kitchen table. It's hard for me too. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner. And like, it's hard. It's hard to even just sit down and have a chat with a kid. With now these days, my kids are 10-year spread from 7 up to currently 17. My son's 18 this month. It's hard to sit down and talk to them when there's so much go out there. I want my kids to go outside and go play. I want my kids to spend time with other people. Even if it's like playing an online game, at least they're playing with somebody else, you know? And I grew up on a cattle ranch in Texas. I was born in 1980, so I know what a rotary phone is. I know what a fax machine is. I swam in ponds, so I know what that is. But it's weird. I want a better life for my kids, but I also want them to have grit and street smarts. And so going back to Christine's point of how do you push your kids into a system that you know is flawed, but at the same time, you're only flesh for a certain period of time, and you can only train your family to be biblical always and be not bought. Like nobody. And give me, if anybody out there has $10 million, give it to me, and I'll show you that I will show up tomorrow and wear the same shit, doing the same thing because I'm so passionate about what I do. I cannot be fucking bought.
And the thing is, like you're saying, with like the problem that you're looking at is how do you teach your kid grit with considering what's going on in your public school systems and how the government's letting that happen.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm glad that mine are adult children. They're like almost 30, then 28, then like 25. So while I dealt with different issues back in the day when they were in school, I don't envy any of you guys that have younger kids in school right now, because that's just, to me, that's just wrong. And it's a nightmare on so many levels. So I think I taught mine grit, you know, typical Army mom, right? Hey, you're in trouble, you know, do so many push-ups, do flutter kicks because they were big swimmers, you know. That's how I punish my kids, you know. But I also made them start making the tough adult decisions at early ages too. And you know you do something right when your kids eventually come back, you know, as young adults, and they say, okay, now I understand why you did what you did and really appreciate it. So when all 3 of them on their own finally came at some point in their life and told me that, then I knew I'd done something right. Not saying I'd ever done anything wrong, but you always question yourself as a parent. particularly as a military parent, because that's such a different environment that you're upbringing them in, and you're uprooting them every couple of years. And, they see you go away for months at a time, and they have to learn how to live with the what if, is mom or dad going to come back,
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of the problem comes into like a lot of parents, like I know at least my age, they want to parent out of fear. And I was like, that you can't parent a child out of fear,
no.
because if you ever parent a child out of fear, they're gonna be the kid that you don't want them to be. They're
Yeah,
gonna sneak
yeah.
around. And I'm like, you need to me, you're just tolerating them till they're old enough to do whatever they want, is basically what you're coming down to. You need to discipline your kid and everything still, but you don't need to put now don't get me wrong, there's some times where you tell them 3 times, okay, now the fear of God's going into you, buddy.
Yeah, there's a
like,
left and right limit, and when they
yeah,
exceed the safety zone, then you bring them back in. But no,
yeah.
I always treated my girls with respect from like the age 2 up, when they could start understanding, because that was something I didn't feel like I got it with my mother. My mother was she was the disciplinarian in the family, and you didn't speak out of turn. You didn't do anything wrong for fear of getting the flip flop, the wood spoon, the yardstick, whatever. I didn't want to do that for my girls. So I always treated them with respect, but they also knew their boundaries, and they also knew, and I warned them, that they were getting close to a boundary. So they kind of learned that way. But yeah, I mean, I always yes ma'am'd them,
I
If you
learned
had
real
boys, it'd
quick.
be different. You'd be
nothing
like,
wrong
get off
with
the
it.
roof, I'm gonna beat your ass. Come down
Hey,
here, let me hit
No,
you.
my mom
I think
did
I
it
only
with the
had to whack
paddle.
them each on the butt one time each child, and that was it. But that was even nothing major. It was just to get their attention at the younger age. But
That's what happened. I think probably when I hit 6 or 7, maybe 8, my mom thanked me with a paddle one more time, and then every time she told me no after that, I was like, I better not do that. I'm probably not going to pay for it if I do. Now my siblings never listen, but me, I learned quickly. But I'll say, like, I think my biggest thing relating to is like I don't relate to people on the civilian side at all.
no,
I
I'm
don't,
with
and
you.
that becomes a big barrier for me, because in a nice way, my humor is very dark, and like so is mine. Like, trust me, your humor is not that dark compared to ours.
No, or salty. I tell people I can be
Yes.
very salty, and they're like, "You? No way." I said, "Yeah, I've got it curbed right now because I don't want
Hmm.
to scare anybody away that I'm trying to make friends with." So
And
Yep.
that's
yeah,
so funny.
yeah,
And that's why I think that's why we flourish too. We
yeah.
flourish
Hmm.
by being, okay, I'll give you an example. Again, going back to Black Rifle Coffee. Here it is that a special operator, while he had money and time, he figured out that his passion, something he liked, his craft, he wanted to turn into something bigger, and he had the machinery and time to do that. And he took the time to educate himself. And then a couple years later, he finds Matt Best, and they just happen to converge positively. And they do all kinds of silly shit. And people buy their coffee. I'm one of them,
I do.
like, right? We need more of that. We need more empires of silliness and just camaraderie, because we need more of these. We need more $5. We need people giving a fuck, and not
Yeah.
we need more people who can say, like Dana White did in front of people. He's like, I don't give a fuck about your fucking feelings. I'm here to do a job, and I do my job. So go fuck yourself.
Hmm.
Like, I love that shit. Like, I love that people can talk to each other that way, and I love that if I said, hey Sean, I'm gonna need you, if you come work for me, I need you to, show up on time, be on time, on target every time, be a professional, represent me and mine, because we are the best in the world, and I need you to, and you're going to have bad days, but I'm going to look you straight in the eye and go, hey man, you fucked up, unfuck yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And he'll be like, okay, cool.
I miss
Yeah.
those conversations.
My civilian staff go, oh my God, what did you just say?
I know.
Yeah,
You
they're
told him
afraid
to
they're
do
gonna
what?
fire them. Yeah, like that gets me. Like, to me, the way I describe it, because I saw someone describe it this way, is basically I'm in my lane, trying to stay in my lane, but nobody in the civilian sector knows how the fuck to stay in their lane. Keep bumping into my lane. Like, you stay out of my lane, and I'll stay in my lane. But people don't understand that in the civilian side, about how
Yeah.
in the military you have your lane, and they don't understand the rank structure. Like, a lot of places around here, because it's unionized. I'm not a big union guy. That's just my personal opinion. But they're all like, I was like, what you don't realize is the military. They're like, you should be used to this. It's like, we had a structure, but our structure wasn't to say, hey, sir, you're not doing anything. Go do all this. It's not like here where all you older people don't want to work, so you just make a union so all the younger people do. No, the military's structured to say, hey, this is who you're going to listen to and this is what you're going to do because we need to survive and win wars.
What town are you in again, Sean?
I'm in close to Paducah, about 15 minutes from Paducah.
Gotcha.
Mayfield, Kentucky, they got hit by the tornado.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like 10 minutes from there. We could see that thing from our house.
Yeah. And my point saying that is too, because I've got clients all over the world, but I've got staff that's everywhere from Texas over to East Coast. And it's all about helping people, you know. And I'm glad you're realizing this early that you are different. Like I called my wife one day. So get this, folks. So my granddad was a doctor in the Army, anesthesiologist, World War II. And my mom worked for veterinarian office for like 25 years. And I always loved sports medicine. I was an elite level athlete and I always loved sports medicine and stuff like that. So I didn't want to be a doctor in white coat, but I did want to do other stuff, EMT and stuff like that. And thought, okay, at some point, maybe one day I'll do like special operations, 18 Delta kind of stuff, do the medical. And I kept going further. And like I said, I was a medevac pilot. So I flew 268 combat missions, evacuated over 350 people from the battlefield. But yet when I go out in the civilian world to apply for a job, I get, hey, you don't have enough clinical hours. So we're going to need you to work in these little clinics before you come work in these big hospitals and stuff like this. So no shit. There I was, knee deep in civilian bullshit. Working for this company, making dog shit fucking money, which that's why there's fall, one of the 5 F's. And I think I was making $100,000 as a pilot. Here's my chest candy everywhere I walk. Everybody knows who I am. I'm a medevac pilot here to save the day. And then you get out and go, fuck. So at 35-ish years old, I learned the same thing that Sean's learning now, that the civilian world is different. And I was working at a job to where a 24-year-old woman who was supposedly a manager points at me and snaps her finger at
Oh
me.
no. I don't play the snappy
Dude,
game. I don't know who you are.
No.
I was
No.
like, don't fuck
I'm
this up.
surprised you didn't choke the snot out of her.
Don't fuck it. Okay, don't go to jail. Don't go to jail. This is not a good time for jail. And I go into another room after I mean, I've had ass shootings before, but that was not it. It was I felt completely demolished of just having a 24-year-old snap at me and knowing who I am and what I've done. And I go in this other room and I called my wife up and I said, hey, I need your support because I'm quitting today. Now this is when we're on our ass. I've been on my ass. I was never homeless, but I've had repossessions. I thought like I now tell you, the higher your fucking ego is, the further you have to fall.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have mentors around you who go, hey, let me help you down and let me guide you to where you really want to be. And you have to have people who understand that. You have to have veterans. I had mentors, but they were civilian mentors, so they didn't know what I was going through. So they were suit and tie people. I thought I was going to be a suit and tie person. And then I just fell on my face. So I'm working for this company, and I called my wife up and I said, hey, I need your support because I am quitting today. And I said, I'll tell you about it when I get home, but I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice today. And I hope if they tell me, just go fucking pound sand. We don't even want to pay you. Don't even worry about showing up. Well, I turn in my 2 week notice and they say, yep, keep showing up for the next 2 weeks. God damn it. Son of a bitch. But like, my point in telling you guys that is because, oh my God, man, I'm glad Sean is learning that early. You're different. Yes, you're different because let me go back to my bee analogy. I haven't told you guys this yet. So there's bees and there's flies. I tell my kids, I tell my staff, I tell everybody, I talk about this almost every podcast. So there's bees and flies. So bees are communal. They've got their hive, their tribe, and they only worry about their little sector, their little area. They're not worried about 10 miles down the road. They're worried about their little area. So they keep their head down. They do their job. They've got one stinger, so they choose their battles. So they're more communal. They've got wisdom. Good deal. Flies, now this is an ecosystem. You have to have them. But flies just eat shit for 6 weeks and die. we all have relationships where we now know who the flies are, right? And the older you get, the more you start going, oh, that's a fly. That's a fly. That's a fly. I want to stay away from that person or that entity. And I just, and you need them because there's wisdom that's gained from knowing that those are flies and the flies have to exist. But you don't have to work with them. If you're a bee, you identify that and go, okay, Christine, yeah, bee, she's a bee. Sean's a bee. Let me be around bees. So, yep. And you guys are nodding because you understand that. You can't help it. You go, yep, totally feel it. So I'm glad, Christine, you're you, you're who you are now. Sean, I'm glad you're learning young because us older folks with gray hair and limited hair would go, I wish I fucking knew it, not felt it or whatever, belief or you know it being in your mid 20s. That's fucking awesome. So now take that knowledge and go, I want to, because you now know that you're one of, if I go tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, you now know that you're tier 1. You are that high caliber of a person.
You're light years ahead of others.
And it kills me because, like, people my age in the workforce, they don't understand respect. Like, if a guy that's been there for 30 years tells me what he knows something, you better listen to him. But then you got people my age, you're like, well, we're just going to do it this way or this way. Okay. And then he just sits back. He's like, okay. And guess what? They either fail or they're just stupid. And I'll sit back and I'll be like, y'all are idiots, man. He just told you that was going to happen. Like, what are you doing? And it's just crazy to me. And, like, a lot of people see, because my VA and stuff, like, and I hate to say this, my brother-in-law's one of them. He's a lineman. Okay, cool. Up from Pennsylvania, we don't really care what linemen are. So I came here, I was like, what the hell's that? Took all offense to it and stuff, and now he calls my money mailbox money, which pisses me off, and I bite my tongue, let me tell you. And he's like, well, I was like, hey, the recruiting office was open to everybody. Well, I took a trade, blah, blah, blah. Okay, bud. And I did what I knew was going to.
He's still looking for people right now. He can go take his trade there and do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And what kills me is he gets so pissed off if someone, because I don't put out there like I'm a veteran. You know what I mean? And people be like, oh, he's a lineman. He gets all happy and they'll be like, well, what'd you do? I was in the Army. Everybody's attention shifts towards me. And he gets so pissed. I'm like, dude, I don't know why. I set myself up for success and that's just what I did. Just because I did that doesn't mean you should be mad or jealous. Like, we just took two different paths, bud.
So Sean, tell your buddies that you guys are all millionaires. I'm just telling you, you 100%, are, yes. Because do the math. You're worth, just a 40-year-old is worth $3 to $5 million, depending on if you're retired or not retired. But a 20-something-year-old is worth probably easily $5 million, probably $6 million.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to think about. Yeah.
Isn't that insane? So, like I told my wife when I first met her, which I met her as I was getting out of the Army, right after I got out of the Army. So she never saw any of the high level me. She only saw the fall and splat. And like they say, get a wife that you can go to war with. And she's a silent professional, but she's still here all these years later, and she doesn't know all the stuff that I know about veteran stuff, but she's not a veteran, but. Just saying, have somebody you can go to war with. very, very valuable point in the Bible. Have a spouse that you can go to war with. But man, yeah, I told my wife early when I first met her, I was like, hey, I want to be a millionaire in 5 years, and I didn't realize it, but yeah, 5 years later, I'm 100% permanent total, and now I get paid $5,000 a month, and $200,000 worth of my student loans removed. So it's like, does it add up? Yep, it does. So just saying. And now I own my own time, and it's way easier. I'm not sure what Sean, Christine, you guys do on the day job or side hustles, but it's way.
I'm my own
way
boss.
easier.
Are you kidding?
way easier to earn money. Way easier to have money when you own your own shit. So
yeah, it is.
That's why we were taught to be like drones and go sit in a cubicle somewhere and that kind of crap. But we can't do that. So that's again why I have a podcast, to give you guys the clarity and confidence to go jump out there and do something. Start doing it while you're getting paid by somebody else. Yeah. Use somebody else's money to invest in your own shit. So that way when you make that choice, it's your choice. And have mentors. That's why
you have to have mentors and coaches.
You have to have people above you, even if you're fucking paying them. It's worth it
Yep.
because you have a two-way street there of relationship. They're paying. Like I've had mentors, I call them mentors, to where it was just. I look back, it was about them. That I was a guy that energized them. But when I call them to be, hey, I know you know famous people. Can I get some kind of operations job with you? Oh well, you're not really a lawyer, so I wouldn't really need you. Oh, you're not. And I'm like, okay, let me lean back on my veteran people. So that's what's worked out better for me. So I wouldn't trade anything. I think all of us look back on that, but I think all of us still go, you know what, our pain has turned into our passion and needs to turn into our products that we sell. And you folks out there need to buy that shit from us because we're the ones who are going to help you get yours. And that's what we do. So,
Yeah.
Sean and Christine, what are you guys doing day job wise?
Day job, I'm a stay-at-home retiree Army veteran. No, actually, yeah, I decided before I dropped my retirement paperwork that I was not going to work for anybody. I was not going to seek employment. I was done with that nonsense. I was done with asking for time off, being on call 24/7. So basically, I retired as a colonel, but my last job assignment, I was part of Cyber Command. So I was really done with certain things. And decided I was just going to build my own stuff. And it really started with network marketing business that I still have. That's what kind of launched me into doing something from the house and really connecting with people. And the women I connected with created that safety net that I didn't know I needed at the time. Because when we transition out, that's such a big leap. If you don't have some sort of support system there outside of the family, it can be challenging. And that's where all that personal growth and everything, and actually getting a coach, mentor, and it'll be going on almost 4 years with her now. That's how valuable she is to me. I pay for it. That's where things have evolved into creating a coaching service, so certified life coach and mindset coach, putting some programs together, building a community just for women to come in and just feel okay, like this. We can come in and just talk, and get that support that they may need, or if they're stuck, that's what I do. But I work from home, but not just that. It's something I can take everywhere. So if I want to pop out to Colorado for 3 weeks and we go skiing, I take it with me. I can still do that stuff from there. So that's what I'm passionate about, is really just those connections, hearing their stories, their experiences, because it's just amazing how many veterans are out there and how each of us have such unique, different experiences and stories. And that's the lack. We've got to be able to share those as well, which is why I'm toying with the idea of doing a podcast too, just to be open, honest and real with sharing stories and just tidbits of things I might come across. So we definitely need to collab on this one, Albert. But yeah, it's just, I've got more things on my parking lot whiteboard of what I want to do than I know how to tackle sometimes, or where to start. So that's been my struggle, honestly. So
is your coach that's above you, is she a veteran?
She is not.
Okay, and that's fine.
She was a VP of marketing.
They're not veterans.
She was VP of marketing at IBM before she left that job because she wasn't happy anymore after 20 years.
Yeah.
And I've had fun watching her build and grow her business, and every time I'm coming up on the end of the year with her, I'm like, would I want to keep her or just want to let her go and then move the money somewhere else? She'll pivot. Not without talking, she'll pivot into what I'm looking to do next. So it's almost like the universe, God or source, we call it Gus, is, just kind of planting in her what me and a few others are looking for. Because there's a couple of us that have been with her that long as she's done this. And I tell you, best decision I ever made. Sometimes I'm like, can I make this work? But I'm like, I've got to make it work because it's exactly what I need right now with unpacking me. Personal development, self-discovery, that's a full-time job. And a lifelong process. It's not like, I'm going to do this for a year and then I shelve it and I'm done, because we're constantly growing and evolving as people. And that's the beautiful part of what we do.
And like I was telling you too, it's nice to pay people who are above you to help you elevate your game, because what I've learned from the people I've put money into their pockets is And they'll tell you straight to your face, hey, I've been on a mountaintop that you are now climbing, and I can tell you that there's another mountain over there. Like, I'll give you an example. So just for veterans out there, I've been told by so many veterans who have maybe their 160th W5s, or like you said, Christina, 05s, 06s, whatever, and who say, Albert, I wish I would have done what you did, get 10 years in and then just get out. And so you'll hear me talk about bell curves all the time. So like everything you do is a bell curve. So it goes up and it comes back down. And you need to, everybody out there needs to do multiple things, because you're a service mindset, you're a good person, you want to do good things, and you want to do multiple layers of good things, but you got to take care of your own too. And this is the real world. You have to have money. It takes money to make money.
Yep.
Most veterans want to have a good day job. They want to have that support system, but they want to have a way to have a more money in their pocket, so they can have more freedom, so they can give more of that back to nonprofits. So I've been on boards, committees of nonprofits. I've been part of events committees and all this kind of stuff, young professional groups and everything. And like I said, now I own a for-profit. So the market tells me if I'm fucking up or not. I have good months, I have bad months, and I make massive changes when I need to. I make subtle changes when I need to. And it's worked out. So just keep showing up every single day. So as you are on a bell curve, you want to get to the top of something, and then right before it starts dropping, get out. Get out. So, like, I'll give you an example. My wife is now working for another company, and she was starting to go on a downward curve because she's a civilian, and as a project manager, she was underpaid, undervalued, too big of a company, too corporate. We've all heard the language, too corporate. It got too corporate. And that's what happened. It used to be a small company, and it's now old enough to where the people who started it have now retired, and now the young guns are going, oh, let's just beef up let's come in and beef up the margin, so let's sell more shit and let's fire a bunch of people. And my wife wasn't one of the ones that got fired, but she was able to pivot to a small company, and now she's got visibility and from the higher ups, and she in the next 2 years could be doing even more stuff than what she thought about. And it was nice that, just weird coincidence, again, divine timing, but we went to Florida here recently, and her company, new company, had a mixer, so we went out there and joined the company, and small group of people, and we all got to know each other and drink a lot and say fuck a lot, stuff like that. So it's like, it's nice that those small family-owned companies, you still feel a lot more value. So let me go back to my Ranger example. So I've got a Ranger out there who he was a E6 Ranger, getting paid dog shit money by the government, maybe $30,000 a year. And then he gets out and he goes, works for Amazon. What do you think Amazon paid? 6 figures. And he's just a manager watching all these boxes move around and stuff. And he's like, okay, hey, baby, isn't that crazy, man? I went from being a Ranger and getting paid dog shit money to now making 6 figures. Baby, look at that bank account. Oh, man, oh, shit, let's get a bigger car, bigger shit, bigger stuff, bigger lawnmower. And then what do you think happened a couple of months later?
Let him
Got
go.
fired.
Yep.
Let him go.
His emotional state starts going down, going,
Yeah.
that money doesn't mean shit to you. Let's take some of that money. And he just starts he's miserable. He's fucking miserable because he's not able to say fuck. He's got to be professional. He's not able to be himself. And I don't want to say shame on the globe or whatever, but like, we've all been through that. We're all going to go through that. So I'm glad
and you're right. And that's why it's so important for individuals to find their purpose outside of the uniform, because it may be night and day. For me, I was ready for a massive change. So I knew what I wasn't going to do to move towards it. So it's like your analogy with the bell curve. We've always had some sort of goal that we're working towards, but we have to have these big impossible goals like Mount Everest high. And to get there, you're constantly moving to those base camps, which are your baby goals to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And once you hit that, you've still got to keep going. You've always got to have something bigger to work towards. And it's like you said, it could be, when you start hitting the bell curve and you start to drop at your current job because you're just not feeling it anymore and you've got to move. So that's one base camp. So you're now moving to another base camp, which is another business. So, but yeah, finding that purpose and finding your true why in life is so important when we get out. And I don't think a lot of veterans understand that.
But I
And that
think
is
a
what I help
lot
you
of
guys with, even while you're still in. So if if you're like, hey, Albert, I'm going to ride out the storm for the next 10 years in the service, and I say, okay, great. Maybe you want to get into real estate, maybe you want to get into beard oil, whatever it is, and I can help you get that going and get it growing, so that you're, because to me, I love having the freedom of being in charge of my own destiny.
Yeah.
And again, I love that even though if you saw some old pictures of me in suit and tie, that's not me. This is me. I wear this every day, whether I've got $10 in my bank account right now or $10 million in my bank account. I'm going to wear this tomorrow, and I'm going to be here tomorrow after that. And I've proven that. And that's why I say I help you guys get going, prove yourself to the market. And then once you get to a certain point like me, then you start like through past your first, I've made other people $2 million a year. So why not make myself that? So now I own my own stuff, made $1 million in about 8 months, if you're okay with that kind of thing. And then go, all right, let me keep growing to a point where I can start partnering with these other entities that are out there who've proven themselves too, because it is about us top tier, tier 1, tier 2, and then some awesome just tier 3 people that are, and I'm going to take Christine's words and make them a little tighter and a little better, is that you're in the service. Your service is you.
Yes.
You're in uniform. Your service is not the uniform.
No.
My service is not this fucking hoodie. I can take this off. I'm still me.
Yeah.
I could be stripped bald and still be me.
Yep.
I could have one leg and still be me.
Yep.
So like a guy explained yesterday, a Jamaican guy said, what color is your soul? Because he's talking about, does black mean anything? Does white mean anything? Mexican mean anything? No, it doesn't. If you're a child of God, which we are, then you go, my soul has no color. I just want to serve.
Yeah.
I'm in this body for a certain amount of time, and I want to help.
And that's where our true passion is. That's why we put the uniform on. That was one way for us to serve. That's how I always saw it. And now that it's off, it's just, we just change clothes. We're still who we are. We're still serving. We're just finding different ways to do it. So.
And that's what's nice about being, like you said, work from home and work remotely these days.
Yeah.
Impossible in the 90s. But everybody's doing it now. It's the thing to do. So I live in Indiana.
I mean, hell,
I grew up in
people
Texas,
people get paid for streaming video games, being paid 6 figures a month to do that, which is insane to me. I mean, but I think a lot of people, we as humans are wired to look at everything in a short-term goal. Like you want to look at everything from a year to 5, but you always underestimate what you can do in a decade or 2 decades.
Yes.
In your goal terms, because everybody's like, well, I want to make $1 million in 6 months. Well, sorry, but I mean, it's possible, but you're probably looking at a little longer than that to get established, to get who you are out there and everything. It takes a long time to get who you are. But like you said, with us as veterans, we're really good at networking with each other. Civilians have a different mindset that they want to compete with each other. It's always competitive.
It's always competitive. And who can I stick, the knife in the back of? And
I'm not going to support you because you're my competition and blah, blah, blah,
I cheer everybody on. I don't care. So network marketing, I don't care what company you represent or what products you are in love with and you want to share with the world. There are 50 gazillion billion people out there. We should not be quibbling and quabbling over, one person. We should be cheering each other on because that's where the power is. So
it's crazy to me the way it's just crazy how as veterans the mindset changes compared to to me, a lot of civilians believe they're entitled to everything and the world owes them everything, when in fact veterans don't think that way, but the world owes veterans everything. I mean, for everything that they put themselves through and all that. And the way the mind shift just flips between them two it's just crazy.
Makers and takers, right?
I
make money and somebody else wants to take it from me.
Yep.
That's how it is. So, that's how it is. Well, I know, like I said, an hour and a half goes by fast, 2 hours goes by fast. So I know we're coming up to the end of the runway here, but so if there's anything we haven't talked about that you guys want to talk about, I'm happy to open the floor up to you. And like I said, we'll add all the links in here too. So what Christina, or I always want to say Christina. I've got Christina's out there. I've got Eric and there's Nick, and I had to write down above me. And I was like, Evan and Nick. So I kept fucking that up too. I was like, Eric. I kept calling him Eric, and I'm like, Evan, Nick. It's still on my board right there. So, Christine.
Yes.
What are some other things that you're doing that you want everybody to know that you're doing?
Really just working on finding those women that want the help, because of course you got to be open for anything when it comes to learning and growing. And parking lot items, podcasts, I want to get that together and get that going finally, because that's been on the top of the list forever. Like you, Albert, I have somebody who wants to help me put a book together. Like he wants me to find 20 other female veterans, and we each do like a tiny chapter in the book approach kind of thing. So I need to start working on that.
I can introduce you to my publisher just to give you some ideas. You always want to have some other people's input.
I've got one. He's harassing me to get this going, and I've been dragging my feet. So yeah, it's just having fun with life, I mean, and I still have hard days, meaning there are days where I just still kind of feel blah, because we all have blah days. It's staying focused on my why, and getting myself out to do those things I need to do, even if it's just a baby step one day. And then today's a massive step, and I get to meet you guys and share and connect. And I will be vibing off of this for the next 24, 48 hours. It's just amazing how that works too. So.
Isn't that cool? Like we're on the same frequency, right?
Yes, which is why I've started filling up my calendar with talking with people next week and other veterans and things like that. It's amazing how it just lights me up. And that's how we meet each other. And that's how we say, okay, like I know a coffee lady, and I think it's Soldier Girl Coffee she does. Carrie Beaver is her name. I need to hook you up with her, Albert, because she's starting to move and rock her coffee company in the Midwest area. So
definitely love to have her on my podcast. Even I talk to my ladies about this. When I say that, I mean my women that work for me and stuff, that they aren't veterans, but they're married to some and all that kind of stuff. And I've helped them out through things. And I said, even if we make it a ladies' day sometime, and just be like, hey, the ladies took over and I'm not even a part of it, kind of a thing, just have some fun with that. So, because it's funny how I will say it this way, women have it easier. If women say, I want to get together, it's easier for you ladies to get together. That's what I'm saying. Men, what do men have to do? We have to say, okay, let me get to big bucks before I want to do some kind of I want a Navy SEAL kicking my ass on a beach that I spend $10,000 a head for. That's the average Joe can't do that. Sean right now can't go out there and do that. That's. I mean, I'm just saying. Nor would I want to. You know what I mean? Like I've already been through shit like that. I don't want to do that.
Men are on a financial clock. Women are not. There's just a difference there. Men are a very financial, steady type of person.
So
do
you think that's cultural?
I don't know if that's cultural or not, because if you notice, a lot of people, there'll be women pushing to get married. I want to get married, but a man will not marry a woman until he knows he's financially able to support her and take care of that family. He just won't. And I don't know if that's culture or just how that.
I think it's just fascinating, because I think if we even look back at the industrial period when it started, that was a very dollar mindset driven environment. And I think it's just kind of matriculated all the way down through this, the decades. But it's just fascinating. So
I like that the founding fathers found it appropriate to put pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, that's a good reminder.
Men, we only get the pursuit of happiness. We don't really get it. We get it in very short bursts. Like I get happy when I work hard with my veterans. I get to do good things. And I want to make sure that I can take my wife out for a date, or I've got both boys and girls, and watch them go have swim lessons or play in the backyard or ride bicycles. But maybe it's just me, but as a man, it is my happiness is short-lived, because it's like, oh, I'm so glad I'm able to see this. But then again, my kid falls, and then and it's like, oh shit. Or a kid falls in the pool and we have to go grab him out and, whatever, or the dog takes a shit on the couch or something. And you're like, son of a bitch. So it comes in bursts, right? So you have the good and the bad. But what's funny is the good stuff is what sticks. And this is why we have podcasts. So my point in telling you that is because, swinging it back to a massive positive, I forget all the negatives. I forget that we went through 2 years of fucking COVID crap. Or whatever, and we're still dealing with the repercussions of it, and we're still going to have more and more. It's going to create clients for me and you guys that are out there for us to help them. But we now are the change, and the evil has shown itself. The government is doesn't want to help us. If they did, they would. They've got the funds to do it. They've actually got our money to do it. So they're using veterans' money against them right now. And if you think I'm kidding, follow any paper trail. It will always lead to that. So my point, bring it back to the positive, is let's get away from the government agencies or start running for government. Take it over from the inside. There's so many of us veterans out there. Just run for something, even if it's a local dog catcher. Get your words out in front of other people, whether it's through books or blogs or vlogs or something, and help your buddy out. Because only veterans know veterans. Doesn't mean that only veterans are supported by veterans. They're supported by other entities. But only veterans know veterans. We've eaten the same dirt. We know who we are, and we know what we're capable of, good, bad, and indifferent. We say fuck a lot, and we love it, and we laugh a lot at thick shit. Thank God. And but yeah, so Christine and Sean, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys, but I'm going to have you guys get on my other podcast too. So make sure we have you guys get on that. I'll send you guys both the text after this. Have you guys get on my podcast. Have you guys get on my calendar. Sean, I think you and I need to work together on see how we can get you into somehow part of my team, whether that's a partnership or direct employment or whatever, to get you. I want to get you off the ground in the right way, and I think that's a way that we can do that.
And I think a big part of it is like people my age as veterans, we don't care about the VFW or the Legion. They're just the age gap there is way too big that none of people my age will join the VFW
or the purpose, or just the purpose.
Yes, exactly.
Like I want to have conversation with you and have a relatively expensive beverage and enjoy it. I don't want to sit in the smoky. I mean, I'm surrounded. I'm in Indiana, so I'm surrounded. I've got them over here. I've got them over there. VFW's American Legion. You can't throw a rock.
We're surrounded by them too. And I agree with you. And at 56, I mean, I tried 2 years ago to join a local one, and the culture was not in, and I didn't like the culture because shortly after I did that, they were put on probation for not following some sort of rules, and then they shut them down. So here I am on a membership somewhere that's shut down, and then it becomes the drama. Well, he said this, she said that, but they're email blasting everybody, and I'm like going, oh my God. I said, yeah, that just completely turned me off for that. So I totally understand that there's no either that or we take it over and we start building a different culture that way.
Yes.
So
think about this. Let's play a game. So we did this last podcast. So if Congress people, state and Senate, or all levels of Congress, senators and Congress people can have a meeting and they talk about their own money and their own time off and I don't call it leading, they call it leading. And leading the country, which is actually leading us into oblivion. If they can do that, if their service creates those opportunities, why doesn't our service create our opportunities? So shouldn't a veteran have more voting power, more stakeholder ownership sort of a thing? And let's say the more you do, the more you get kind of a thing, the more voice you have. So the higher up, like a retired SEAL probably has a hell of a lot more than a 2 or 3 month veteran who got kicked out because they were snorting coke or something, like I'm just saying, like your value, let's say your value is created based off of your emotional worth, not your bank account. And I mean, make it to where you can't be fucking bought out by other people. So we talked about this for a little bit of like term limits and stuff, but like if you're serving time for the country, same thing for non-veterans, so firemen or teachers or something, shouldn't you have more ownership of your own money? If government can do it, why the fuck can't you? If we're the ones who created government, the government's the one who does it for themselves, doesn't that mean that we have the power to do it for ourselves too? Because there's God, big G.
I thought we were left with that power. I thought we were left with that power. We've just been snowballed into thinking that we don't have a voice anymore.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God, man, woman, child, donkey, small government. But somehow small government is able to come in and say, hey, Sean, I'm going to take money out of your ass forever.
Yeah.
Even though you earned it. Like, that's fucking stupid. It's not a
It's
Like,
not
Not a
sustainable.
good business plan. It's not
what
sustainable.
doesn't make sense to me is all these tax codes we have. You want to make life simple? You get rid of all these tax codes and you just say, hey, everybody, you're being taxed this amount, 10% of your
Yeah.
yearly, and you're done. You don't have to, like, the fact that the IRS knows how much they need to take anyways and then expect me to file. Just tell me how much you're either going to give me or how much I'm going to take. Like, why do I have to do all this work when you already know that number? Like,
Well, then you find out that all the, again, going back to, let's say, war by itself, any global war, any war has been funded by the same people on all sides. So,
Yeah.
and then you find that out getting older. And that's why my older clients go, Albert, I appreciate you. But God damn it, government. The older I got, I thought I was going to trust my government more and stupid fucking government. Because it's all full of the money. It's all ran by the same fucking people.
Yep.
It's been that for whatever years. But like, I think we should be able to get back to, I don't know what we have to do, whether it's a zombie apocalypse or some kind of tribal mentality is from 10,000 years ago when there weren't banks. People will just, hey, Sean, you can fish? Great. Christine, you can cook fish? Well, that's nice. Albert can use some wisdom. Well, that's all. If you can do those things, then let's get together. I can make fire. You can hunt and you can cook. Well, shit.
Yep.
We're happy people. Like, we're valuable.
I'm voting for the zombie apocalypse. I've been preparing for that one for years, because like you, Albert, I grew up on a farm, so I know all kinds of stuff from canning and milking and cheese making. But yeah.
Even just water. I bring this up all the time.
Yeah.
Water. Zombie apocalypse. I'm just playing games here. Zombie apocalypse. But if a zombie apocalypse occurs, water is key. People are thinking about toilet paper. They don't know that water is the number one thing that you fucking need. And how miserable you will be if you go drink out of a mud puddle and you don't know what that means. And then you can't stop shitting and puking and you can't get up. And now a day and a half later, you're dead.
Yep.
That's how quick that sets in.
What's crazy to me in America is you will see France, England, any other country when the government decides to make a law and they don't agree with, get up and show that no, we ain't going to put up with that shit or whatever. But here in America, the only time we're going to riot is when we don't support something or someone doesn't like our opinion or blah, 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 blah. Not when the government decides they want to make a law that we don't agree with. Like, that just baffles me that other countries are willing to say, no, that's stupid, and go riot or do whatever they need to do to tell that government no. But here in America, we just want to riot because we have different opinions than other people, which is stupid. The fact that America's getting to the point that you can't even have your own opinion is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here, is to be able to say, hey, I'm not saying stop working for the man right now. Take that man money and go out and put into your passion. Start in a garage. And just how many big giant billionaires were started in a garage, and just start telling people what you want to do. Like Elon Musk has done everything from trying to land on Mars to selling flamethrowers. So if he came out now saying, hey, flamethrower, you'd be like, that's a little weird. But at least he's doing something. You know his name and you know his face. You know what his mission is or missions are. And that's where we all need to be, is out front and out front of our people, and so that people can get to know, like, and trust us and buy our shit. That's the easiest path to.
So Albert, I definitely need to talk to Keith, my better half, and see if I can't get him on this with you, because he could really bring some additional VA knowledge. You probably already have it, but sometimes hearing it from another voice, as you know, will resonate with people too. So, yeah.
That's why I have them.
I know. So that the VA can do their effing job. So.
Shit, yeah, right. That's something I try not to watch like news, but I'll listen to when Congress has people from, whether it's the VA, and just the people sitting there under oath saying the shit that they say. It's gross. Like Department of Education or Department of VA, and just like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
How are you in charge of all of this crap? And that's just gross. So
yeah, that's why I stopped listening to a lot of news a couple of years ago. So
yeah, I know.
Yep. And I mean, I think
my emotional beatings.
The fact that, like, Rockefeller, and if you look into this whole thing, the Department of Education was made to make workers. It was not to make entrepreneurs that want, because if you go into our school system. It does not tell you how to start your own business, how to do this, how to do that, how to get a more. They don't want you to know. They just want you to work for the man. Is
Yeah.
basically what it comes down to. Till you get outside that box and you're like, wow, what can I do?
Sean, you're
Crazy.
gonna love this. My fourth book is about people who are younger. So when people realize that they were a black sheep or entrepreneurial when they're younger, black wolf when they're younger, that's where we're like, hey, let me grab you up and you are different. Let me get you around people like Christine and Albert and that kind of thing to be able to expand on that more, because it's just otherwise, like, I'm hearing you and I'm sure Christine is too, of like, holy fuck, man, this dude is in his 20s and he's already that aware.
Yeah.
We hear you. But other people out there go, I mean, I'm sure you've been told, oh, get your tinfoil hat out. Sean's here. But Christine and I go, no, this dude's fucking legit, man.
Yeah. I mean,
proper guidance.
Now, you probably know this, Albert. You meet somebody and they resonate with you. It doesn't matter what their age is. I will follow you off the cliff if you tell me to. And I would do that for either one of you. That's how much I'm in sync with what's going on here. So yeah, when you connect with people, regardless of age, they get it. It's just, it's nice.
Most of my
There's
friends
hope.
are in their
I
mid
love it.
30s to 40s. Most of my friends, like, I don't really have people my age because I don't relate to them.
Yeah, I understand that
That's
feeling.
that's what I was telling you that too, when you start talking about not relating to work and civilians and stuff, and it just, you probably relate to certain civilians, but it just have to be very high tier 1, tier 2 level civilians who have already done shit, like maybe a vice president somewhere or something like that. But it's just so hard as a veteran to get in the room with them without some kind of other connection. You know what I mean? So that's what I was saying. Me taking you under my wing and get you in and get some other wins under your belt too, and give you that credibility, makes it a hell of a lot easier. So well, I definitely I'll text you guys both after this to get on my other calendars and other podcasts and stuff, and let's do a hell of a lot more things, man. That's why we're here. And anything you got out there that you're getting started or doing it, we can have it on my website. When you start getting websites of your own, put my shit out there on your website so we can get the word out. You guys will get a kick out of this, but I was watching this video on some of my training that I pay for. They're talking about social media stuff where it's like YouTube video of there's analytics of how many views does a video have versus how many subscribers do they have. And what's shocking is that 2 words really do draw people's views: confidence and hypnosis.
Okay, I'm listening.
I know, right?
I'm curious now. I'm listening.
So I'm going to start putting those 2 words in my titles of, like, I'm going to give veterans the confidence, and Christine, you want to give female veterans the confidence to be entrepreneurial,
and helping with the clarity. So clarity totally resonates with me. Yeah.
So that's what I was telling my other marketing people today too, was that I always say in my briefings, I want to give you clarity and confidence. I say it every single day. I want to give you clarity and confidence. And that way we can take those words, because you are hypnotized. You are brainwashed by the government to, like Sean said, go work for the man so that you can be part of the flies. Because they don't want you to be a bee. If you're a bee, you're not putting money in their pocket, which is disgusting. And there's so much money to go around. If you don't know, go to a big convention with special operators or guns or something. Even go to an NRA convention and you walk in the door and go, 12 acres of guns and veterans. Holy shit, this is gigantic. And there's so much money out there. Go anywhere, aviation, anything has big industry. Hospitals have trillions of dollars. Any healthcare industry, oil industry, any industry has trillions of dollars. There's tons of money out there. It's all fake. It's all just monopoly money. But that's why it's abundant. It's abundant. It's an abundant source. It ain't going anywhere. Whether in whatever form it's in, people will pay you for your value. And for people like me and Christine and Sean, by combining and being a force multiplier, then we're able to create more value for the people that we're trying to help and help them get their abundance going too faster. So start titling a lot of your video stuff off of confidence and what I say, hypnosis. You've been hypnotized. So it just shockingly goes to the top. Crazy high views, very limited subscriptions. So anyway, all right, guys, we're coming to a close here. So before I do the cross arm thing and have them shut down the other stuff, we'll do some behind the scenes stuff too here shortly. But anything else that we want to put out in front of the public before we go behind the scenes and chat for a couple more minutes? Nothing this one.
Nothing I can think of.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm sure it'll come up when we do behind the scenes, but
I know, right? Well, good stuff. Well, I appreciate you guys, and I'll do some other video stuff that will be pushed in here. So it'll say something like, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Make sure you're looking Christine and Sean up on whatever social media you guys have out there. I'm on LinkedIn. Definitely a great place to be for veterans, professional veterans. So I'm sure we're all on LinkedIn. Any links that you guys want me to put out there, we'll put them in there. Those will be in the descriptions and stuff like that below. But well, good stuff. We'll come to an end on this, and I'm going to do this little number here. He sees me do this. Stop. Ceasefire. Okay, so now we're going to do some behind the scenes stuff. So, Jenny, mark that 2 hours, 12 minutes that we're going to do some behind the scenes stuff. All right, guys. So we're in essence off live camera. What do you guys think about this today?
it's good. I can almost do this like once a week. Almost like a huddle, of like, just random thoughts with Albert, Christine, and Sean. So,
and that's why I also
I
call them baseball and batting practices. That with my clients, that's what I help them through. It's like, okay, if you want to swing for the fences, there's a time to do that, but you have to get on base first. So if you're doing something going, you have to get here first. So, I got a great idea and I want to write a book. Well, what do you have to do to get a book going? So that's why we do host these baseball and batting practices every week for that, so that it is that huddle, and you get to know each other better, and you get to see each other. Like, I briefed an entire room, weird coincidence, but an entire room of pilots last week, and I said, okay, there's maybe 10 of them, but I said, all right, guys, you're all pilots. Let me tell you who my newest client is. I said, no shit. He's in his 60s now, but he's a Naval Academy graduate, and he's a Blue Angel. And if you go back to, there's a documentary done in 93, 94 with Dennis Quaid, and it's like Speed of Sound or some shit like that. And so I quickly looked that up, but that's number 7 is my guy. So my newest client is one of those dudes. So it's crazy. And all these pilots in the room are going, oh my God. And yeah, I immediately see them getting their notepads out.
Yeah. Because you created that know, like, and trust concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is so crazy though. What we do is we deliver to people. Like, I'm saying we as veterans deliver to each other, and we have been beat down by corporate, by the man. We're told not to trust each other. But then you look at, somebody put it into a jar analogy. So let's say the jar has 2 types of ants in it. And those 2 types of ants are happy living in harmony, but then somebody big comes by and grabs that jar and just shakes it up. But it's not for their benefit, it's for this person's benefit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the devil does. And that's what evil is. So we have to stick together, because no matter what, we can't be bought. And
well, it's crazy to me how, if you look at veterans businesses, they'll thrive, and civilian people will be like, well, this is hard and blah blah blah. And the difference, it's the support system you have behind you. Veterans will have hundreds of people behind them supporting them that already been there, started their business. If it's civilian side, you're just going in there by yourself, probably with barely any connections, or if you're lucky, you have mommy and daddy helping you. But other than that, you don't have the support system, and people get mad about, like, I was like, but that's your own fault. That's your own problem for not going out there and finding connections and getting, and most people like that are not going to help you anyways, because like I said, civilians see it as a competition. You're a threat to them.
Yeah, they do see that. And they're just like any corporate, or even, the same thing happens in the military. There's bad leaders, there's bad people. Mm-hmm. And they just ride the wave, and they scare off the young talent, and then you end up with, I think, probably almost every general out there probably is dog shit. They get to the point, I'm like, how do you get to a 4-star general and the chief of staff, and then you end up, or what the hell do they call that dude? Anyway, what's that dude's name? Millie.
Oh yeah, General Miley.
Don't get me started with that one.
What the fuck? I want to learn more about white rage. Motherfucker, who's paying you? Who the fuck is paying you to say that shit? And what's that check look like? So
yep. Let me tell you, Sergeant Major Daly of the Army was the best sergeant major the Army has ever seen. That guy did not give a shit about government, Congress. He didn't give a fuck. He just cared about his soldiers.
Yeah, and that's what made him good.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. But I haven't seen anyone like him since.
No. Well, because it's political. I mean, even, to go the GO route, you opt in for those boards. And I could have stayed in 2 more years before I retired. I didn't even want to do that. I didn't even wanted to opt in because it's a political game I didn't want to play because that's not me. Because I felt like I would not be able to take care of my team, my soldiers, the way I was accustomed to doing for 30 years. So, yeah.
Well, that's like their whole new retirement system now.
Yes.
Crazy, because I was the last year that got to decide whether you want to stay with the legacy or the old one.
You're lucky. I stayed with the legacy.
And that was smart because the way the new one works is it's nice. They're matching 6% of your monthly every time into a 401k every month, which is nice, whether you do anything or not. But the problem comes when you go to retire at 20 years now, you get 60% less to your retirement unless you do an additional 5 more years. And then, or you just take a big lump sum after you get out after 20 and you don't collect your retirement till you're 65 then. I was like, that is insane and ridiculous.
I'm glad you're thinking about this shit young. Sean, you and I need to have a phone call right after this.
It's
okay.
crazy.
With all the messages out there begging retirees to come back, basically, I'm like, you can't pay me enough money to go back in.
Isn't that gross?
No.
Cannot.
Nope.
I don't care what. It doesn't matter. I'm not going back in that environment. So.
No. It's getting. I was going to stay in for 20, but after 5, I figured out how toxic leaders can really be. Like the ones that are just in it for themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't care who they have to walk on, what they got to do. Now, I had some great commanders and first sergeants, but from like the platoon sergeant to like stuff like that, I was like, no.
It's at every level too. That's why SEALs say the best people in the world are SEALs, worst people are SEALs, and they're bad doctors, they're bad MEDEVAC pilots. It would shock you the people that are horrible at every level, and some people just want to go in to kill and maim, destroy, and power. Crazy smart people, West Point graduates, whatever, and they're just evil.
They're the ones that kill me.
I know them. I fucking worked with them.
I'm sorry.
We were in combat together.
Yeah.
The graduates that just come out of ROTC, like their first year in the military, and they're like, oh, I know everything about this. And I'm like, bud, trust me, ROTC did not touch what you were, but you're going to have to rely on your NCOs a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, bud.
And that's why I'll tell people all the times, I really think that every officer should start off 2 to 4 years enlisted, then make that conversion. Because I think it makes for a better officer. Not saying, that's just the route I went. And because you understand the enlisted side so much more, you learn a lot at that level that you can now transfer over, becoming an officer. And it just makes you more empathetic, compassionate, I think. And I think it just makes you a leader. Because I knew
it adds to your wisdom. And that's what I love about like you said, you guys said earlier that if you wanted to join, you would, and that became a line with us pilots is, hey, flight school starts every 2 weeks. You know where the fuck it is. I mean, I'll show you how to do the paperwork. You have to apply for it. And people talk shit all the time. Oh, pilots have it easy. Well, good. Go through flight school and tell me how fucking easy it is.
I'll tell you. Yeah, but I'll tell you, like, I've seen a MEDEVAC come in and like hit the ground and leave within 2 minutes. Like, I mean, good at what they do. They're quick. I mean, they do what they got to do and they get out.
And that's only in the daytime. You didn't get to see us at night.
Yeah, that's sure too. But I will say that's why I have more respect for the officers that went through OCS Like they got their degree as they were enlisted and then went OCS, and I see the big difference in them compared to the ones that came from ROTC.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's different. I think OCS is one of those. I'm glad I did ROTC because it elongated the process, and I was an E3 when I got out. So only had 2 years in, but I'm with you, Christina. I would love everybody to go through at least 2 years of enlisted just to eat shit for a while and know what it feels like to do that, and then know that you've got options. And
that's what I love about my daughter, because she's putting the paperwork together. She will actually go to basic training, then she goes to OCS, and then she's like, she's worried about not making it through OCS. I'm like, you're going to be fine. I'm like, you're going to be fine. She's like, but I don't have any leadership stuff. I said, number one, they're going to teach you some of it. Yeah. I said, and then when you get out and commission, because I'm looking forward to swearing her in. I said, then you find the good NCOs. They teach you everything else you need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I had a lot of NCOs because I was an E5 once I got out, but they would get so pissed because their soldiers would come to me with their problems. I was like, you're not doing your job right then.
Yeah.
That's your problem, bud. Like,
there's
not mine.
There's a company commander. My company would get upset with me because I'm out there pitching tents and pulling tents when we're setting up for training. They're like, oh, no, you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm like, why not? Yeah. I said, it's one way of our hands. We get it done quicker, and from that point forward, nobody told me to stop doing anything because it was a team effort. So it's the way to do it.
It's hard to find those leaders anymore.
In Afghanistan, my pilots were like, hey, sir, I need you to stop. I kept running into burning buildings on the ground. They're like, I need you to stop doing that. So, because we need you. We don't want to lose you. I can't help it, guys. There's a burning building. I run into it. I can't help. I don't know what it is, but I keep doing it, and I don't want fires. But I just every time there's a fire, I go running inside. So, but yeah, did it a couple times in Afghanistan and other shit. Doing evacuations off of the Gators, if you remember those things, and grabbing up people after a rocket attack, and they're like, "Sir, God damn it, stop."
Okay. I know when I was in Afghanistan, I was like one of the only good radar techs they had in southern Afghanistan. So I was flying 5 to 5, helping Marines and everything and all this. But what was funny to me is I never went outside the wire. Because we had radars outside the wire. I never went outside it without at least 4 Marines, 2 MRAPs behind me. I'm in the middle one, 2 behind me. And they'd be mad because, usually I could fix a radar within 30 minutes to an hour. But they would be so mad when sometimes I had to sit there because the part wasn't there. So I'm sitting there waiting. They're just sitting and watching the whole time. I'm like, sorry, bud, but
I tell you, my hat's off to you guys that went into the thick of that stuff, because try as I might, the closest I got was Kuwait. And that took me getting a position as a brigade, basically a division G6. Negotiating with HRC at the time because they kept trying to send me to these pissant locations. And I'm like, you guys understand I'm an O5 promotable. You keep offering up these O4 positions, and they said, well, we've got this one unit, in Karopolis outside of Pittsburgh, and they're on the slate to deploy in a year and a half. I said, I'll take it. It's the only way I got my foot in the door, because when you're AGR, because I was AGR at that time, when they get their hands on good people, they don't let them go anywhere, period. Doesn't matter.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. And I fought for like a couple years to do my turn over there because to me, it was the only right thing to do. And there was no way in hell I was going to go through life being a slick sleeve. So, but I'll take it. 9 months in Kuwait wasn't what everybody else was doing, but I felt like I still, accomplished something.
Fuck.
What's crazy to me though is that everybody that is slick sleeve, like people want to make fun of them, and I'm like, and I will too, just because it's. But to me, that doesn't define you as a good leader or not.
No, I understand.
Do not have to.
But it goes back to having those goals.
Yes, exactly.
It was a goal of mine to me, it was the right thing to do. It's my turn to go over, because so and so went over 6 times. He's taking up my number, kind of thing. So yeah.
He definitely doesn't want to go 6 times. That's stupid.
You could have came to our unit. we were the only active duty CRAM unit in the entire United States Army. So every other year we were gone.
Yeah.
Every other year it would rotate. And we used to be a 2-to-1, 9 months on, 18 months off. Now they switched it 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Now it's 9 on, 9 back, 9 on, 9 back, 9 on. I was
But
like,
I tell you, back in the day when they first started, robbing units to beef up units, I saw that it was going to be an issue even back then. I'm like, you keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. You keep robbing
Yep.
Peter to pay Paul. I said it's going to catch up one day, and
It's not sustainable.
yeah,
What's crazy to me though is I was glad that when the Army revised to a 9-month deployment, like they got rid of this 13, 16 months and stuff. They actually took the time and realized, hey, 9 months is kind of that limit where we strain the family. We need to,
Yeah.
Which I give them props on that. But other than that, I don't know. There's some things I give them props for. A lot of them, like,
I understand. Yeah.
Well, gang, let's bring this to an end. I told you guys, man. 2 hours goes by
Okay,
fast.
fine.
2.5 hours on camera.
Invite us over for a drink and then kick us out. I said,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I'm going to talk to Sean after this too. So, Sean, let's take
Yeah.
about a 10-minute bathroom break, and then I'm going to call you on the phone because we're going to talk about some next steps on. I definitely want to. I need to grow my company. I'm currently the only, let's say, sales guy, and I need to grow my company by training other people to know what at least know how to do what I do. And I'd much rather get you as an old soul in a young body and train you up on how to do that. So,
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that, and I'll talk to both you guys on another podcast in the future, and get you guys in there for that, and see what else I can tell you on that too. Both of you guys get on the calendar.
Thank you for this.
Thank you.
So grateful to have met you guys and to add you to my crew. My battles. You're my battle buddies now. So, and now I know who to refer people to for various things. So that's the beauty of this as well. And I look forward to chatting even more.
Definitely. So I'll have you on, Christine. I'll send you guys a text with my other calendars and get on my other podcast and my 2 calendars that I host. So the one's for your business, the other one's for your other bank account. So make sure you guys get on those and help you guys out. Because even if you're 100%, it still doesn't mean you have everything. And then even when you get your 100%, then you're like, oh shit, I can do more with my life and I can help other people. Yep. Get that empire going too. So
perfect.
All right, gang. Appreciate you guys for being here, and we'll talk to you real soon.